right, everybody. Welcome to Pablo and Wes. We're going to do episode 6 for you today.
Episode 6.
Episode 6. So first off, we just want to thank all the people who have left a five-star review on iTunes. We're humbled, we're grateful, and what we've really found helpful is feedback. Some people have given us some, I'm going to say, constructive criticism, some friendly feedback, and because of that, we're listening, and we are going to introduce a new format where we go deep on one topic, and so we're going to mix that in with the other episode formats.
I thank you for the suggestions.
I thank you.
All good stuff. Yeah. So we're gonna give it a shot.
Yeah, we're gonna give it a shot. All right. So
but that'll be in the next. That'll be
episode 7. Yeah. Yeah.
But in 6,
something to look forward to.
Yeah. Here we go.
All right. So today we're going to talk about your relationship with other staff members and how your personality type builds into that. What else are we going to talk about?
First year lessons learned.
Yeah.
First year lessons learned.
Yeah, the top lesson learned from first year of teaching, and when and how to teach a skill versus a concept.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that. So
let's get into it.
Thanks for joining us. Here we go. Pablo.
Yeah, that's my name. No, so my number one thing that I would say on how to build relationships, I love talking to people. I love meeting new people.
Yeah,
but when you're a new teacher and you're just getting into the profession, depending on the staff that you're joining, you may or may not have a lot of allies initially. You would think that everybody's going to be part of your team, but you can't assume that.
It's not true.
You just can't assume that. So I think one of the things that I remember doing or I learned afterwards, and I helped maybe on the veteran side versus trying to communicate with other staff members, is maybe not to talk about school stuff all the time. Yeah. Like it sounds, counterproductive, so to speak, but
find that common ground, right?
Yeah. So I think the idea is that you should find commonalities that you can talk about that aren't school related. And I think you'll get a little bit more interaction and get to know somebody a little bit better and a little bit deeper.
Yeah. You have any examples of that? Like a way you connected with a staff member that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise?
Yeah, well, the idea is almost it's on the same idea. I guess it works with building relationships, and that is giving small gifts. And they could be gifts that you actually purchase, or just giving up your time. So if a coworker has, let's say, recess duty, just offer up, hey, you know what? Go take 5, go take 15, go take the whole time off. I'm going to cover your.
Dude, I'm
going to cover that
noble.
duty.
That's noble of you.
And I think it's kind of the to having conversations and where you can go a little bit deeper. But it could be, hey, you bring them a $5 Starbucks card one day. I guarantee you, especially in education, you'll be paid back. And then some. For a $5 gift card. So
So for me, I think of that example. I think of like a grade level team at an elementary school. So where my first teaching assignment was, we had 30 English teachers in our high school department. So I'm thinking like, well, who do I give the gift card?
30?
Do I buy 30 English teachers?
Yeah, no, that's probably not feasible.
But I do have some tips for that and this actually happened by coincidence. As I had a baseball player. You actually may have heard of him, Ricky Nolasco.
I have.
Yeah. So
was he
was
Oakland A, or do you know?
I don't know where he's been recently.
I was a huge aficionado of sports for many years. I've kind of let that go, but Ricky Nolasco, keep going.
Yeah, look him up.
The internet.
Look him up. So Ricky was one of my students in sophomore English, and so I decided to go see a baseball game. It was a home game. I walked out after school to the field, sat there, watched him, and there's this picture right there, Ricky Nolasco.
Out of Corona.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so So the thing is, I went out to support him, but I ended up forging this friendship with the coach that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And so because we had Ricky in common, like we didn't really have anything else. I was an English teacher. He was a PE teacher. But then it became a common bond for us. And so just going out of the way to attend an event that was special to another staff member, that was a way to develop a relationship. So that's one strategy that I would suggest is, like, I like the idea of giving small gifts, But sometimes maybe you don't know who, like if it's not a grade level, or maybe you're a co-advisor on a club or something like that. And it makes sense to give somebody a gift. But attending events that are special to people is another good way.
Definitely just an idea. Don't think that you have to empty your pocketbook to make friends. Yeah. No, not at all.
And later, I'll just end with this. So later, when I became an instructional coach and I worked with teachers on a regular basis, I'd visit them, I would pay attention to the types of validation or affirmation that made sense to them. So I used a book called The 5 Love Languages. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it kind of helps you tune into whether people respond to words of affirmation, gifts, which is one of the 5 love languages by this. This book is by Gary Chapman.
I'm a natural.
You're a natural, right? You're already on the market. And then one is like physical touch, like that is like obviously more maybe an intimate thing, but sometimes like shaking somebody's hand or a pat on the back can mean something. Gifts of time, like spending quality time with people. And there was one more, I think I named 4, but extra credit if you find the one I missed and you leave us a comment on YouTube or
on iTunes. Instagram or Twitter.
Instagram, yeah. So that's cool. So what I would do is I would use these ways to affirm people, and I watch what they responded to.
That's super cool.
The other one was
look at you,
words of affirmation. I think I said
now
that.
What are the people going to do?
What's that?
How are they going to leave us? That 5th tip you've told them.
No, I think I repeated it, but I would like write a note, see if they responded to that. If they didn't respond to the right note, I give them a gift. So just try to figure out what makes people tick.
Very cool.
All right.
How about I'm going to throw this back at you, right into your wheelhouse. Yeah. First year lesson learned.
Oh my gosh. Well, there were so many bruises and battle scars from my first year. I tell you, like I really struggled with classroom management. And there were many lessons learned with classroom management and strategies and structures and things like that. But for me, what I took away with as like, it became a core value for me out of that first year is I realized I would never be perfect in terms of executing like the perfect lesson. And so I decided I would value above all else developing relationships. Nice. And so it kind of tied into teaching the whole student or paying attention to not just the instruction, the lesson, the content, but those other soft skills and experiences that went like wrapped around the lesson, like shaking their hand. And we've talked about this before, shaking their hand when they come in the door, figuring out ways to build teams between students, getting to know students personally. I made a goal to learn their names, all their names as soon as I could. Yeah. So that was my number one lesson learned from year one. What about you?
For me, I was thinking about this earlier before we start. It's just to stay humble and confident. First year depends on how much work you put in, and it depends on your entry point into education. I came from a second career, so I had a wealth of experience, maybe not in education, but I felt like it should probably translate a little more in my head anyways into teaching and just being confident when I did. And so it did, but I think it also got in the way of maybe it came across as cockiness, which I don't want to come across as. I do want to come across as somebody who's very confident in what they do, but vulnerable. And so that's why I say stay humble, because you always want to continue to keep learning. While you want to seek out the latest and greatest in pedagogy or whatever it might be that you're seeking, I think the opportunity that you have to stay humble and listen to other people and learn is huge. Yeah, and I think if you stay balanced in that way, I think you're going to have an awesome career in education.
Yeah. And there's a nice crossover between that, because if you're staying curious and humble, that ties in with getting to know people. Like if you're really attentive to them and you're picking up the things that they care about, the things that they talk about, like students coming into class talking about sports or talking about popular culture. If you're curious about that, that will also, like, that keeps you humble, but it also fits right into you have an in to develop that relationship.
For sure. Nobody likes a know-it-all, and nobody, no, they don't, because it's almost like you're doing the antithesis of what you were just talking about. It puts up a wall.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they just either, or people buy in that, oh, this person just knows way too much.
Yes.
I don't belong.
Yeah.
Or they're just turned off by it, period.
And that's a tricky path to walk.
Absolutely.
As a teacher, because we are the content area experts.
Or should be.
We should be. Yeah, right? We should. But then you do run the risk of alienating students if you act like you know it all. And sometimes you draw students into learning if you play dumb in certain ways, and you invite them to be the ones who discover it. So that's a whole other topic on inquiry-based lesson and the grant.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot more right there, but let's go because
let's go to topic
this could be an 82-minute podcast.
All right, so in segment 3, we're going to talk about teaching skills versus concepts, and kind of why and when. So do you want to take this first?
I'll start.
Yeah.
I don't know what the number is. Is it 50-50, 49-51? Glad I got my math right there. But the idea for me is to make sure you balance thoughts and ideas with discrete information, right? Things that you need that are rote, and you just need to have some automaticity to. And I don't have any perfect examples, but tying it to the real world. I mean, I have examples, but this is more, I want to make sure that this podcast is a gut feeling thing, that you're hearing this raw and live. Yeah. And my feeling on this is like, yes, I do believe reading is important and breaking down, grammar is important. Yeah. So some people tend to hear me and think like the opposite potentially. Right. But I do think there is a lot of weight that should be put on those soft skills and things that allow students to get when they're not students any longer and get out into the real world. They need support there too, and I think we're a little too heavy on that skill side.
That's so interesting, and you even took it deeper than I was thinking, because I was thinking like language and literature concepts versus like life skill concepts, which is absolutely huge, and really for me, like that would be the ultimate goal. I'd rather have them be an excellent student of life more than an excellent student of literature, So
I think that's going to support the student a lot further.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we don't disagree that all the other stuff is super important too. I just again, I think I reference this a lot, that we'll be talking about this on another podcast. But when we whittle down students to a percentage, a grade, it does a disservice to the student. Yeah, absolutely.
So for me, when I came out of my teacher ed experience when whole language or the whole language movement was a thing. So it was like, instead of teaching grammar or phonics, let's say, to teach somebody how to read, it would be like have them read a book together, and somehow through osmosis they would pick up those reading skills. So that's how I was taught. And then later I became a consultant. I worked in school districts where, the state had taken over the school because the test scores were so low. And at that point, you really have to look at some fundamental skill structures to make sure the students learned how to read. But for me, when I was teaching high school, like AP English, AP Language and Literature, what I would do is I would introduce skills. I would introduce those discrete rhetorical devices. Sure. We would teach them. There would be some rote practice. But then we would move into a larger context, like you're writing this essay, and I would say, hey, you have to use 3 of these and 2 of these. So it would be a predictable way that they could take those things from practice and use them in like a game.
Yeah, because you want them to be automatic. It allows you to move on to the next thing, for sure.
Yeah.
So profound, my friend.
Yeah, well, thank you. I don't want to belabor that. I think we're on to our closing and our social media shout out.
Let's do it.
So, yes, we have a Instagram shout out to Good Morning, Ms. Foster. So we just want to give her a shout out for having a good, vibrant Instagram feed. And not only that, her bio is London teacher, currently teaching in Malaysia. So if you want to see that international side of teaching, check her out.
She has a hashtag that she'd also like to share.
Yes.
I believe is Choose a Book Tuesday. Use that hashtag.
Yeah, Choose a Book Tuesday. So we'd like to draw your attention to that. And then in the show notes, we'll include some links to specific resources for reading and writing that we think are hip. I'm going to say hip.
Hip it up.
All right. And so next time we're going to try out a brand new format.
You asked for it,
and you're going to get it.
We're going to try.
All right. So next time we'll pick one topic and go in depth. And that topic is going to be competition versus cooperation when working with students.
I disagree.
All right. I do too.
No.
All right. Until next time.
Hey, we'll see you guys next time.
All right. High five.
High five. And don't forget to follow us on PabloandWest.com.
Yeah. And
all right.
Instagram.
And Instagram. And all of them. We out.
All right. Bye.